All right, here we go. Is Paul back from vacation? I don't know. Let's check it out. Let's see if he is. I'll run over here to his desk here and see if he's here. Well, evidently not. He's still in the 2019 mode, as you can see, but although he does have his 2020 glasses on, so I think he's still in that party mode. Looks like he's still out cold. So let's run out to the slough, let's do a little checking, and then from there I want to run to Monterey. We're going to look at a couple small sources and talk a little bit about some of how the small sources can impact some of those general areas that we're going to be looking at. So we'll see you on the field. See you soon. So what I thought I'd do is bring you out here to out in the Alcorn Slough. Behind me is what we call is Bloom's property. There's about 250 acres or so. What's interesting, and I wanted to show you this, is basically the tide gates that we're going to talk about here in a second. So hang on with me and let's go for a little walk. So what I have here, this area is actually, I know we've got all this traffic going on, but we actually have 7 tide gates out here. And basically what's happening at this point is the water is actually coming out of this 200-acre Blooms area. What I'm going to show you is we're going to go to the other side here. So hang on, we're going to run across the road here. So what we're going to do is I wanted to show you these tide gates because it's very interesting the way these tide gates work. They're actually a flap type gate, so they work on the high tides. But I know it's a little difficult to see, and I'll get a little closer here in a minute. But behind me you can see these gates. Again, there's 7 gates. There's these tubes, they're about 30 or 40 feet long. They run across the road here. And on high tides, the water comes up and the gates close. So it's basically a flap gate. Doesn't allow the water in to that 250 area that we want to try to keep all the salt water out of there. So unfortunately, as I looked at them a little earlier, we've got one gate that has a little bit of a problem, and we're going to try to get a little closer. So as you can see all the flow coming out, and that's exactly what we want. It's all rushing out of there. However, on this second gate, I noticed that there is no flow. And what's happened in the past is we have these tube worms. From what we've been told, there's only 2 places here in California that actually have this tube-like, I don't want to call it an insect, but it is some kind of crustacean that wraps itself around the tide gates themselves. And what happens, and I'm almost sure that what's going on here is that these tube worms have actually wrapped themselves around that flap gate. Now, we've been dealing with this for many, many years. I've been here going on 29 years. Every winter we're out here cleaning these tide gates. We gotta knock the tube worms right off of those gates and make sure that those gates, are working properly. So once again, you can see behind me that one of those gates is not working properly. You can see all the flow coming out of the other gates, which is exactly what we want. So I thought it was interesting. We can get a little better view. If I knew, if I had a tide book, I could tell you exactly. We might come back out, try to catch it on a minus tide, and I can actually show you guys exactly what these tube worms look like. So for the time being, we'll wait. I'll run back to the office, and then we'll run back out here and figure out when our best time to videotape a little bit of this tube worms, and we can talk a little bit more about them. Talk to you in a minute. So we just got back to the office, and I noticed that on the tide books it's going to be probably another few weeks before we get those minus tides. Once we get those minus tides, we'll run back out there. We'll look at those tube worms, and as I mentioned, these tube worms tend to wrap themselves around these tide gates, and it looks like one of those gates isn't working properly, so we need to get out there. Let's take a look at them and then possibly clean these things right away. So stay tuned. We'll see you back here probably in a couple weeks, and then we'll run a little more video on those tube worms. See you soon. All right. Well, let's see if Paul's back from vacation before I run out in the field. Take that back. Let's start over. All right. Take 3. Take 3.